What's up guys, Joey here of YugaTech, and Huawei recently released their addition to the Nova series this year, the Nova 7i. If you haven't seen our full review yet, you can click that on the upper right side of your screen. Now, we're curious to see how it'll fare against its predecessor from last year, the Nova 5T, which has established itself as one of the best smartphones of 2019, similar to what the Nova 3i accomplished back in 2018. But this year, of course, something's missing. You guessed it, Google services. Without Google services, can the Nova 7i claim its expected title? Well, keep on watching to find out. Taking a look at design, they may look similar when it comes to their screens since they both have that hole punch camera placement on the upper left and an earpiece by the top bezel, but the Nova 7i is actually larger with a 6.4-inch panel as opposed to the 5T's slightly smaller 6.26-inch panel. Due to the lack of a notch, both the 7i and 5T have pretty slim bezels on the sides and the top, save for the chin, which is slightly thicker than the rest. Flipping to their backs, things appear different. Although both have quadruple rear cameras, the Nova 7i has them placed in a square protruding module, which some may say looks like the iPhone 11 series. Below that is its LED flash. As for the Nova 5T, it's got a vertically stacked protruding camera module that houses 3 cameras, and the LED flash then placed just beside it together with the 4th camera. The Nova 5T boasts a glass back that produces a 3D light effect whenever it hits the light. Meanwhile, the Nova 7i looks like glass but is actually constructed with plastic, making it lighter in the hand. On the left side are their dual SIM slots that don't have a micro SD card option, but the 7i supports Huawei's NM cards. Heading to the right side, we get both their volume and power buttons that double as their fingerprint scanners. Up top are the secondary microphones and additionally a light sensor for the 5T. Meanwhile, at the bottom are their main microphone, USB Type-C port, and loudspeaker. On the 7i, we also get a headphone jack, which is one of the things we like about it, so for audiophiles, sadly, the Nova 5T does not have one. All in all, both have good build quality. The 5T looks premium with its glass back and classic design, while the 7i looks more fun and edgy with an updated style and colors. So we'll leave it to you guys on which one you prefer more, since design after all is subjective, but for us we're giving an advantage to the Nova 7i for a bigger screen and of course a headphone jack. Moving on to display, both phones have a Full HD Plus resolution. The 5T has a slightly higher pixel count coming in at 2340 by 1080 compared to the 7i's 2310 by 1080. Again, like I said earlier, the Nova 7i has a bigger 6.4-inch LTPS screen as opposed to the 6.26-inch IPS display of the Nova 5T. Both have a smart resolution feature that allows you to adjust the resolution to a lower HD Plus display to save more power. Both have good outdoor visibility even at 70 to 80% brightness, though it seems that the Nova 5T's display can get slightly brighter. They're both almost exactly the same when it comes to colors, providing punch and vibrance. Viewing angles are great on both as well. Both displays are roughly the same in terms of quality, so I guess it's down to size, which is up to personal preference. To remind you, the Nova 7i is 6.4 inches, Nova 5T is at 6.26 inches. For audio, they're up to par by smartphone standards. Their single downward-firing speakers sound crisp and can go loud enough to fill a smaller room. However, the bass is noticeably lacking for both, which is expected considering their price range and of course the fact that they are smartphones, not built for audio. As for software, they both run EMUI 10 on top of Android 10. However, since the Nova 5T was released with Google Mobile Services last year, it still gets to keep them. Even with the new EMUI 10 update, we still get the Play Store and other Google apps. The Nova 7i, on the other hand, unfortunately does not have this advantage. It's only got Huawei Mobile Services, meaning you'll have to use their native app gallery with its admittedly growing selection of apps, or utilize third-party app galleries like APK Pure, or use some method of side-loading GMS. So for this category, the advantage definitely goes to the Nova 5T. It's still got the latest version of EMUI, plus it still has Google Play. Moving on, checking out performance. Powering the Nova 7i is a mid-range Kirin 810 chipset with a Mali G52 GPU, while the Nova 5T packs a flagship Kirin 980 processor together with a Mali G76 and P10 GPU. Now this is the same chipset used in the P30 Pro and the Mate 20 Pro, so it does not disappoint. However, in their respective high-performance modes, both phones actually compare pretty closely in terms of raw numbers. As expected, both can definitely handle basic tasks smoothly as well as heavy games with just a few hiccups. The Nova 5T and Nova 7i only offer one configuration, that's 8GB of RAM and 128GB of internal storage. Yet, the 7i edges out the 5T in terms of storage expansion as it can be further pushed to 256GB via an NM card. Despite their difference in price range, the Nova 7i and the Nova 5T both have powerful processors in their own right. However, we're still giving it to the Nova 5T for that flagship grade performance. But guys, don't sleep on the Kirin 810. It's a really good mid-range chipset, and we can't wait for more Huawei phones in the Philippines to sport this chipset. When it comes to security, you can unlock these devices via their face recognition or their respective side-mounted fingerprint scanners, which double as the power buttons. The fingerprint scanners work fast and are reliable, and face unlock works well for both too, with just a few hit or miss moments in challenging dark situations. Checking out batteries, the Nova 7i has a large 4200 mAh battery with support for 40W Huawei Supercharge. As for the Nova 5T, it gets a smaller 3750 mAh cell with 22.5W supercharge. So in terms of raw specs, definitely the Nova 7i has the advantage here with that bigger capacity and faster charging support, but checking out the benchmarks, we ran both through the PCMark Work 2.0 battery test, and the 7i got a total of 16 hours and 42 minutes, while the Nova 5T yielded 14 hours and 16 minutes. Both also went through our standard video loop test, and we got a total of 17 hours and 45 minutes of playback for the 7i and 15 hours for the Nova 5T. So aside from specs, also in our tests, definitely the 7i takes the crown for battery. Again, aside from the bigger capacity, the 40W Huawei Supercharge is a real plus. You're able to reach 70% in just 30 minutes and full charge in just under an hour. Now we're checking out the cameras. The two handsets sport a quadruple camera setup on the rear. Equipped on the 7i is a 48MP main, an 8MP ultra-wide, 2MP macro, and a 2MP portrait shooter. The 5T comes with a 48MP main as well, a 16MP ultra-wide, 2MP macro, and a 2MP depth sensor. For front cameras, the 5T trumps the 7i with its 32MP resolution in contrast to the latter's 16MP resolution. Taking a look at this first set of our usual shot of the Skyway, both phone shots look almost exactly the same, with the only difference I can see being that the 5T has a slight yellowish tinge. With a situation like this, it's easier to get focus lock on the 7i, evidenced by how sharp War Machine looks in the 7i shot compared to the 5T. However, both still have about the same color reproduction. Same thing here with these shots of this plant. The 7i is much more forgiving when it comes to focus, but we see here that the 7i has slightly more vibrant greens. Just take a look at the leaves on the left side for reference. Now, this is a shot using both phones' ultra-wide cameras. They look almost identical except that there seems to be more detail and dynamic range in the Nova 5T's shot. Granted, the window in both shots is washed out, but the 5T was able to preserve details in the shadows, such as in the plant on the left as well as AJ's shirt. Now, testing out both phones' macro lenses, results are less than favorable in this image, although take note that this was taken from really up close with a heavy backlight, so still impressive given the shooting conditions. Now checking out portrait mode with the rear cameras, both phones do surprisingly well with subject background separation, but I am liking the bokeh effect from the 7i a lot more. It also does a better job of reproducing skin tones. For selfies in bright natural lighting, both phones do a great job, but this is one area where the 5T definitely shines more. It produces nicer skin tones as well as capturing small details more effectively. For portrait selfies, subject background separation is also nice for both. For selfies in low light, the 7i was able to get a brighter image, though the 5T's, even if darker, captures more details. However, the 7i does have night mode available for the front camera, and in this example, we can see that it definitely produces a greater image. So that's a +1 for features for the 7i. Now checking out low light with the rear cameras, here's the Skyway again, but this time at sunrise, taken with both phones' standard photo modes. Both about the same, full of noise in the dark areas, but still captures small details in the distance. When we turn night mode on, it seems that only the 7i benefits from the mode. The shot now has better overall brightness and more balanced exposure. Both phones can also capture in night mode at 2x zoom, of which the Nova 5T was actually able to get a better image. However, the 5T also has night mode available for ultra-wide, which sadly the 7i doesn't. So all in all for cameras, it's actually a tough choice since both can generally do the same things when it comes to capturing quality, but if I had to pick only one to use for daily basis, I think I'd choose the Nova 7i's camera system. But to wrap this entire comparison up, when it's all said and done, we gotta factor in price. The Huawei Nova 5T is priced at 17,990 pesos, while the Nova 7i costs 13,990 pesos. Both are honestly great phones, but for 4,000 pesos less, with the 7i, you're getting similar cameras, similar performance, along with a better battery experience and an updated design. But let's not forget that the lower price doesn't include Google Mobile Services. So if that is an important factor for you, then it'll definitely be the Nova 5T taking the cake. But if you can transcend that potential barrier and are either willing to find alternatives or sideload GMS, then the Nova 7i is definitely the more promising option. So that wraps up this comparison review. What do you guys think? Huawei Nova 5T or Huawei Nova 7i? Let us know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please do drop a like, subscribe to our channel for more content, hit the bell icon so you don't miss any future uploads, and be sure to visit YugaTech.com for the latest tech news and reviews. This has been Joey, and be sure to stay hydrated.